Good afternoon. Welcome to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis, and this is the show where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. Good to have you with us on Facebook Live and YouTube. We're back from a short hiatus over this past summer. It's good to be back live, and we're usually live every Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. on the district's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Find us as Houston Community College District across all social media channels. You can also look for us on HCC TV. And if you like to download podcasts, all of our shows are available as audio podcasts at hccs.edu/podcasts. Now, HCC is committed to the development of its faculty and seeing their innovative ideas come to fruition. Today, we're talking with Dr. Kurt Ewen, our Vice Chancellor of Strategic Planning and Institutional Effectiveness, also Chief of Staff, and Jordan Carswell, Director of Innovation Strategy. Good to have you both with us this afternoon, gentlemen. Dr. Ewen, I wanted to talk to you first about your personal efforts behind the goal of establishing the Ewen Family Endowed Chairs for teaching and learning excellence. I know you also want to tell us about your involvement at the West Houston Institute. Go ahead and get started.
Yeah, so good afternoon, Todd. It's great to be here. It's good to see you and welcome you back from the summer. The Endowed Chairs is really an effort to encourage innovative practice across the district, not just from our faculty. The endowed chairs are specifically for both faculty and student support professionals. All of those people who work on the front lines, engaging students either in the classroom or in ways in which they engage the students across the district, librarians, advisors, so on and so forth. More on that later. Ultimately, this is part of a broader pipeline to try and encourage that innovative practice across the district. About 4 years ago, we launched the beginning of the West Houston Institute when we did its ribbon cutting. And at that event, I announced the establishment of an innovative fellows program. At this point, we've had more than 70 faculty and staff go through that program. It's a year-long program that's intended to help people think differently about the work that they do, help them to think about design thinking, help them to think about iterative design of their products, to encourage them to think more deeply about what they're doing, how it's going, and how they can improve it. With that, I'd like to invite Jordan to tell you a little bit about that program, and then maybe we can come back to the endowed chairs after that.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Sure. Hey there. Thanks, Todd. Dr. Ewan. The West Houston Institute is designed to be Houston Community College's Center for Innovation. A lot of higher education, a lot of colleges and universities have centers for innovation. Most of those at four-year universities are intent on taking the research that comes out of labs and work done there by professors and turning those products into something that can be turned into a business or something like that. Houston Community College, our faculty and staff, we're all focused on the student experience, whether that's what happens in the classroom through teaching and learning or what happens outside the classroom. And so for us at West Houston Institute, we are a center of innovation for how do we innovate the student experience. And so as Dr. Ewan mentioned, the Innovation Fellows is one of our premier programs that we have at WHI to develop faculty and staff talent to help them understand how to place yourself in a position to where you can be at the intersection of creative ideas and disciplines to be able to come up with innovative ideas, and then how to work with those through a design process to be able to bring them to life, and then even to think entrepreneurially to be able to figure out how do you take this valuable idea and connect it with the audience that's going to really appreciate it and be able to utilize it. And so, as Dr. Ewan said, the Innovation Fellows program is a year-long opportunity for both faculty and staff who are full-time at the institution. We are in our 5th cohort, and every year we have innovative projects that come out of that. And so we are working now on trying to figure out how do we provide a pathway or a pipeline to enable those creative ideas that come out of the program to flourish and grow out into the institution and really transform HCC.
You know, Jordan, when you were talking about innovative projects that have been involved with the West Houston Institute, one thing I can think of, and I know Dr. Ewan, this was very special to you, was the art car that literally brought, you know, departments from across the district together. You had welding involved, you had art involved, media arts, you had everyone involved with this art car, and it did pretty well for the college itself.
Yeah, it absolutely. So just the art car itself, it won every category of the in the art car competition the year that it was entered, but it also really demonstrated. Ashley Hope was the faculty member who led that. She worked in the first cohort of Innovation Fellows and also worked in the makerspace for what ended up being 3 years. And as you said, we brought in every semester. It was amazing to see a different group of faculty and staff and students come in and help to build it. So early on, yeah, it was welding. And I mean, really, I guess it started with automotive, but then it was welding and construction. We had people from the manufacturing program come through, and then students from those different disciplines. And then by the time they were finished, and it was just really kind of painting and doing the finishing touches, you had all art students and very quiet painters that you wouldn't even realize they were there, working on the finishing touches. And so we got to see the whole thing done. When the students and the faculty that had been involved came to actually see the art car at the event, that was just indescribable. The feeling that came across their faces, the smiles, just the genuine surprise at seeing the whole thing. And it really confirmed for me that at the West Houston Institute, we have an opportunity to allow students, faculty, and staff to create things at scale. This isn't a small presentation or a small prototype. That's just where you start. You can actually bring something full-fledged to life, and it can really transform the way a student sees themselves, the way a faculty or staff member sees the role that they have in terms of what they do to really elevate the student experience. And it brought a lot of notoriety to HCC. We still get a lot of requests and queries about it, and has opened a lot of doors for future projects.
Dr. Ewan, when you think of the art car, is that one of the best examples that you can think of with what the West Houston Institute is really all about?
It certainly is, Todd. You know, a big part of that building is, and the work that we try and replicate from there all across the district, is really about encouraging active and collaborative learning. And there are two parts of that piece that I really like the most. One is that when you talk to the students, they had a profound experience of learning in a new way. More importantly, however, is the faculty who were engaged. The faculty learned and engaged in a different way of teaching. The Ashley Hope that Jordan mentioned had to learn welding in order to do this project. So she had to learn new skills, and both the Innovation Fellows as well as the work of the foundation, the innovation, the West Houston Institute, as well as the Endowed Chairs, is really about changing the way in which people think about their work, helping them engage in a new way. When we established the Endowed Chairs, the idea that I was pushing forward was to say, if you give a student a scholarship, you've helped one student. If you give a faculty member an endowed chair opportunity, you will have changed the way they teach. And in so doing, you will have changed the experience, impacted the experience of potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of students moving forward. Because once faculty get in their mind this notion of that my work can evolve in terms of how I learn to teach, it becomes addictive. They don't just do one project. They become serial project doers and then they change the culture in the institution. It's a really fabulous opportunity.
Dr. Ewan, when you made the announcement, and we're going to meet the recipients of this year's awards in a few moments, but when you made the announcement at the convocation, you had your brother there, you had your mom there, and family members. How special was that moment in your life, having your family on stage to not only talk about, but to present these awards?
Well, it's important to me in a variety of ways. One is that neither of my parents ever went to college. And so the idea of them being on stage at a college is my brother went to community college for a couple of years, so did my sister-in-law. This is really foreign to their experience, but they're impacted by it nonetheless. The idea for this for the endowed chairs emerged after my diagnosis with ALS, and so part of the idea is that, and part of the place where the name came in is that I've had a lot of success in my life. I've done things I never dreamed of doing, but at every step of the way, I've done them with the help of family, and I'm firmly convinced that none of us are of our own making. All of us are the byproduct of the support we get from family, from friends, and so on. And so this is a concrete way of attempting to memorialize that and to thank them. But my mother and everyone, they were all beside themselves, just thrilled to be there, to meet Natalie, to meet Raymond, and to better understand how this award can be helpful.
Dr. Ewan, we appreciate you being on the show this afternoon. We appreciate all you've done and all you continue to do for Houston Community College. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Todd.
And Jordan, always good to see you. We hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. We're going to take a short break. When the topic returns, we'll meet one of the award recipients using the grant for intelligent purposes. More on the topic in 60 seconds. Stay tuned.
Sometimes what you need just shows up. Houston Community College has your back, whether you're knocking out some basics or upping your game for a better job. Enroll today for spring classes and frame your future with HCC.
For more than a year, we have kept you informed with more than 500 remote episodes. But now we're back, bigger and better, with more news and more guests. Join us live every weekday at 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, and on HCC TV at noon and 5 p.m. You can watch from anywhere. We go where you go.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. This afternoon, we're talking about the Ewen Family Endowed Chairs for Teaching and Learning Excellence Awards. We've got both of the recipients this year. First up, joining us, Dr. Raymond Brown, Program Coordinator for Artificial Intelligence. Good afternoon, Dr. Brown. How are you?
I'm fine, Todd, and happy to be here.
Well, congratulations on this and getting one of the first awards. Let's talk real briefly about HCC's AI program and how you'll be using this grant.
Okay, the HCC's AI program. The first classes began in August of 2020 when we had 36 students as declared majors. We introduced 11 very specific AI courses in topics like machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, robotics and edge devices, and applications and use cases, why it's a big deal. We have an industry-centric advisory committee. Our students sponsored their own Houston AI conference this past spring. Our first graduating class took place in the spring and summer this year. Our students are finding internships already and jobs with companies like Tesla, Rice Genomics Graduate School, Cepheid Pharmaceuticals, McKinsey and Company, IBM, and more. At this point, we have had over 100 students attending our classes.
It sounds like the program's just been taking off, I guess, because the need right now for AI is so great across the world. We are apparently at HCC going to be launching a 4-year bachelor's program as well next fall.
Yes, that's true. 4-year bachelor's program in artificial intelligence and robotics. That's representative of the greatest value in education today. Any student from any background has precisely the same opportunity to become a professional member of the AI and robotics workforce. I'm excited about the bachelor's program because it's the first in the state of Texas and one of a very few in the country. It means that professional artificial intelligence and robotics are accessible to not 20%, but 80% of the population. Our students will be remarkably well trained as AI generalists on the very latest technologies. Students will be able to multitask in cybersecurity, in IT, in data science, programming, AI, robotics. The AAS degree in AI will be the first 2 years of the bachelor program. And the 4-year program offers students remarkable opportunities at very high salaries.
Is it a very competitive program? Is it hard to be selected for this? Or do you do them in cohorts? Can you enroll year round?
Yes, you can enroll year round. There are no prerequisites for students coming into the program. We take them as they come and work with them until we're convinced that they can operate in jobs and careers in AI.
You know, there seems to be a good section of the population right now who may have lost their job, or their hours may have been cut because of the pandemic and
Right.
industry's changing. Would this be a good second career for somebody looking for a second start? Maybe they're in their late 30s, early 40s, but you know what? I need to keep working. I'm not ready to retire yet. Would this be a good field for them to jump into?
A large fraction of the students that we're getting in the program fit that profile precisely. They're looking to change careers, to find better jobs, more higher salary jobs. And so a lot of our students are in their mid-30s and even older.
Dr. Brown, we've got about 30 seconds left for this segment, but if someone is interested in getting started, where would they go on the website? Do they just search AI, and then can they enroll in the spring?
Yes, to both of those. They can simply search for artificial intelligence. They'll get the program come up on the screen, and they can go to the catalog and start registering for the courses. Looking forward to a lot of that happening.
Dr. Raymond Brown, program coordinator for artificial intelligence. Congratulations on being one of the first recipients of this award. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to take another short break. When we return, we'll meet another one of the award winners, recording the stories of an iconic Houston neighborhood. The topic returns in 60 seconds.
Sometimes what you need just shows up. Houston Community College has your back, whether you're knocking out some basics or upping your game for a better job. Enroll today for spring classes and frame your future with HCC.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah, Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We're live this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for being here. We're talking about the Ewen Family Endowed Chairs for Teaching and Learning Excellent Awards. We've got the recipients on the show this afternoon. Right now, we're joined by Dr. Natalie Garza, who wears a number of hats here at HCC, including she's one of our co-hosts for Up to the Minute in the morning. She's going to be using the grant to tell important stories many of us have not had a chance to hear about a certain area of town. Natalie, it's good to see you always.
Hi, good morning. Good to see you.
So, Natalie, I want to ask you first off, because I know your project involves the second ward. Tell us first off, for people who are saying, you know, I kind of know that part of town, but broadly, what does the second ward cover as far as what part of town?
It's the east end of Houston. Traditionally, the ward started in the center of downtown and then spread outward, kind of in a fan like that. And it's bordered by the bayou. I forget the names of the bayou on the north, butts up against like Fifth Ward on the north, and then the train tracks that are around Harrisburg on the south.
Right. So we're talking, which I guess now would be called Edo.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Very up and coming area of town right now. Your project excites me because we'll give everybody an overview. I know a little bit about it because we've talked about it on the show, but you're going to be telling the stories of the second ward. Talk to us about that.
Right. So I chose second ward because I've done a lot of research on this community already. The end goal is to create a digital history project that utilizes software in the development of an interactive map of the neighborhood so that people can click on places in the map and, you know, what will pop up is somebody's voice telling, you know, their experience of growing up in second ward, or a picture, a historical picture, or maybe a piece of history that we'll write and put a summary there.
And you're going to be using, is it ArcGIS software that you're looking into?
Right. Yes, so I was introduced to ArcGIS by Ruben Duran in the Center for Innovation, for Learning and Innovation at HCC. And I told him about my idea and was asking him, like, is this possible to do? And this is software that he suggested. So part of what I'm doing with the endowment is just to learn the software. But GIS stands for Geographical Information Systems.
Right.
And it allows the analyzing of geographic information, and you can layer the data so that, like I said, hopefully it'll be like an immersive map, that it's not just a topical, right? That you feel like you're on the street walking around and can click on historical sites within the neighborhood and information will pop up.
And you're going to be obviously incorporating this in your classes, but your students will be able to participate as well, correct?
Yes. So another kind of like outcome that I'd like to have is that I can learn this in such a way that I can develop curriculum to bring students into it, so that, you know, I might develop the map to begin with, but then from then on, students will be contributing the content, the historical content into the map.
How do you feel this project reflects HCC's values?
I think because the history of Second Ward is one of immigrant and working class communities. Right. The project demonstrates that HCC values diversity and equity, both in our community, but within the classroom, right? The students will be engaged in culturally relevant pedagogy, something that hopefully matters to them because it's local history. And so I believe the project performs like the social justice work of preserving the history of communities that are neglected by traditional storytelling. And, you know, like you said, it's up and coming neighborhood. There's a lot of anxieties from, you know, families that have been there for a long time. And so to recognize that and to kind of honor their stories.
Natalie, it's a fascinating project, and I know you're going to be keeping us up to date as this moves forward, and we always appreciate you having you on the show. We'll see you next time on Up to the Minute, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Natalie. And thanks to all of you for joining us this afternoon. It's good to be back on the air with the topic. We'll be here again next week, 1 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube, and always catch our shows on HCC TV. And you can download our podcast, hccs.edu/podcast. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you next time.
La forma en la que ves tus opciones puede cambiar en un minuto. Houston Community College te ayuda a encontrar tu camino con más de 200 programas que te abren oportunidades a puestos de trabajo. Inscríbete hoy para las clases de primavera y enfoca tu futuro con HCC.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.